A pastor can go out in the morning and say, wife, if you don't see me, just know that I died for Christ. That means there is a grace. You said the man is not praying in tongues, but you who is praying in tongues, you ran away at a sound on your zinc. This guy is standing and watching a gun. Do you think it is normal? No. By faith, Abel offered. It takes something to offer yourself. Now, a wise man will meet that man of God and say, sir, you may not have the grace to preach and heal like me, but I see that there is a dimension revealed to you. If I stay where I am, I will raise sons that can pray but never stand for Christ. I need that grace. I admit I don't have it. I admit that dimension has been opened up to you. I humble myself, sir. It does not make you small. This is what we will never do as men of God. Our pride will never allow us. We will hide and listen to tapes in the secret. And some of you are already learning those kinds of things. You never see yourselves and celebrate yourself. That guy is Pastor Femi. Pastor Femi of where? Rema. Which Rema? Please, I came into this town and I'm a man of God already. Who is this pastor? Of where? Under who? No. If you don't change from this, a generation will show that there was a lapse of God that we did not tap into. Don't ever let anybody say the prophetic is not useful just because you found the word of God. Don't call every prophet a riff-raff and a roadside prophet. There is a dimension only prophecy can birth. No amount of study can bring you there. There is a dimension only mental transformation can bring. So don't insult Mensa Otabil and say, oh, these guys are just there is a dimension only Joyce Meyer can bring. There is a dimension only Benny Hinn can bring. There is a dimension only Dr. Olukoya can bring. There is a dimension only Papa Kumuyi can bring. You ignore Dr. Olukoya and demons kill you in your pride. You die the death of a fool before your time. A man who was the best in molecular genetics and left it. Left something, went to school abroad, exceptional in molecular genetics, and came and humbled himself to carry the cross. And all of a sudden you see him and just say, what is all these things? We even mimic them in laughter, and the demons say, thank God for such a foolish generation. Are we together? Then you see a man of God, Papa Iya Deboe, can just stand. I'm mentioning names because I'm saying positive things about them and because they are fathers indeed. May God bless you. And you're like, I need fire. And you listen to T.D. Jakes, and while he's moving, keyboards are playing and moving, and you just came out of 7 days dry retreat like a skeleton, almost dying. I say, what is this guy saying? Is it just to say you will come out that you can't say in 1 minute? And while you are there in your pride, slaves left Africa and went to US. God picks a man out of them and makes one of the best preachers. You didn't ask how it happened. When they traced his origin, they found out he is Igbo, a Nigerian. Are you learning? Who have you resented because of imbalance? Some of us right now, we love God, but we have educated ourselves into believing that some people in the body are not relevant for our growth. I'm telling you, you are already in imbalance. Especially if you're a man of God. If you are hearing me and you are in this mistake, change now. Change quickly. Never go back home and put men of God and keep bringing them one by one. Oh, this one doesn't have fire. This one, he doesn't have this. This one, I like his suit. I like this one. I like his this. Be careful. There is one Lord. There is one faith. There is one baptism. There is something that Joshua Selman will never see, even if I fast for 400 days. It will not be covered by a demon. It will be covered by God himself. so that I will need Ejimi to see it. There is something Ejimi will never see until he looks at Pastor Toby or a pastor here in Adamawa. There was something about God I learned when I went to Adamawa, sir. I say it. I have never seen a level of generosity from people like that. Women, some of them old enough to be my mother. And you see, I will say it. Till today, when I go to Mubi, they see me, they start jumping, Daddy Oyoyo. People with doctors, lecturers, with such depth of humility. I don't know if I can do that for anybody. And while they do those things, I don't sit down with my pride and say, wow, you mean they acknowledge me this far? I sit down and say, Lord, let this grace for humility that will be upon a man of 50 years before I now die in the next 10 years because of pride. Do you see that God has put the remedy for our fall in the body, but because we could not tap into it, imbalance is a destroyer. There are many families today that have no business being in poverty if they would listen to those carrying the graces. It's amazing that what we resent is what we secretly desire. Oh, I prophesy, your name is divine. Ah, man of God. And someone said, oh, these riffraffs, divine. Whereas one day he tried to. He said, what's your name? Are you Gabriel? He said, no, I'm Ejimi. And he said, no. He wanted it secretly. He was just too hot. And then he said, no, what is not all about prophesying. We must be careful. Most of the things people criticize, they test it secretly. When it becomes too hot, they live as if nothing happened. Then they create a theology. How can one person be praying for 12 hours? Life is not all about prayer. That man has tried to pray secretly. He thought it's just by energy. The grace is not there. So he sees someone fasting dry 2 weeks. There's a man I know in Abuja. I don't know anybody that fasts on earth like him. One day, maybe when we are doing something in Koinonia, and he honors me a lot, I'm sure I'll bring him one day to pray. That man can go for no food, no water. Not that you drink water in the night. Dry. If that man prays, even standing close to him, you will feel as if they are electrocuting you. I literally mean it. There is no deliverance case that gets to that man that goes back free. Before, no, I'm serious. I really am serious. That guy has stretched this body and brought it under subjection. The kind of power that is in that man's voice. Yet he will come to me like this and still kneel down. Sometimes I'm tempted to say, stand up, oh. You better stand up and lay hands on me. How you know you love the body is your outspoken celebration of the uniqueness in it. The moment you are ashamed to celebrate the uniqueness in the body is a sign that something about it is intimidating you.